the health technology quadrant at the Arts Centre aims to provide a level of expertise which we have in the country as assets available to these companies. So the way that this will be structured is a subsidiary company, it's a charitable company owned by the Arts Centre, so the ultimate beneficiary is the Arts Centre, will run the quadrant. To join the quadrant and gain the benefits of this, the advice that's wrapped around it, which addresses issues that you don't know you've got when you're developing a company. And I saw this frequently when I was working in corporate finance with early stage companies. You do not know what you do not know. So the critical strategic moments of growth and decision making as you advance, and often these are rapidly growing enterprises, will have access to these high level of expertise from people who have done it, who've got experience of it, and are there to advise. So to remove these barriers and these trip points, and commercialize these companies. And critically, part of that will be the financial advice around it. So at those critical moments of strategic growth, there will be people there advising in advance of it, reaching those moments, deciding what is the appropriate level. Is international capital the right way to go? Maybe it is, but what's the best deal? And so retaining high value jobs, talent, all that research investment in New Zealand for as long as possible. We're not against international capital. We need it, but there are moments when it may be too cheap or too early, and we aim to remove those. So it's a solution of creating. It's almost like a marriage bureau as well, of entrepreneurs, of ideas, of emerging companies, companies that might be in transition, where the founder actually may not be the right person to be taking the company through to the next stage. So introducing to entrepreneurs, and also international expertise, and creating an economic powerhouse of which the beneficiary will principally be the city. High value jobs, high value companies, and also a centre of excellence that will attract companies from elsewhere in the country to come and be part of it too. Because the centre can also be virtual. It's also the physical centre of it at the Arts Centre, but the relationships can be managed virtually as well. So we hope that it'll be a magnet for companies coming to the city, and as such a significant infrastructure project for the city. The health sector itself is a $7 trillion global economy, and 10% of global GDP is in the health sector. And we've obviously got a tiny part of that, but there's an outfit called the New Zealand Tech Investment Network. And in 2019, they estimated that the sector in New Zealand was worth just over $2 billion, growing at $1 billion a year. So this is going to be a really significant part of the economy for the next 20 years. So initially it's a cluster of companies. We need public funding to get us beyond that. We're looking at companies in revenue. So we're not looking to compete with all the existing infrastructure in the country of innovation centres that already exist in the universities and the DHB and elsewhere, and providing those various parts of strategic advice around pathway to market, around IP, around regulatory issues, and companies that want to come and join this would have to contribute 5% of their equity to the scheme. Now that means there's no cash going out of the business, but there are several elements to this, because if you are smart enough to realize that giving up 5% of your equity to achieve this level of interest and advice and advancement. If you're smart enough to do that, then you're the sort of company we want to talk to. And we are now in partnership. So we are invested with you in that and want the company to advance just as you do. In the long term, if we get one unicorn, we will have funded the Arts Centre. So that comes back to the arts and the cross-sectoral, innovative way of thinking.